Hey, what's up guys? CombatCritique here. In this video, I want to give my pick for this upcoming fight between Ilia Topuria, this man right here, and Josh Emmett. So this fight just got announced for a 5-round main event at a UFC fight night. Let's get started. So if we look at the physical stats of both these guys, let's start with Ilia Topuria first. So his height is 5 feet 7 inches and Josh is 5 feet 6 inches. So both are pretty short guys for their division, but Ilia will have a 1 inch height advantage over Josh Emmett. Weight is even at 145 pounds. Both these guys are featherweight fighters. So unless somebody misses weight, both of them will come in at 145. Reach is 69 inches for Ilia Topuria and 70 inches for Josh Emmett. So pretty even again for both these guys, but 1 inch reach advantage goes to Josh Emmett. Stance is orthodox for Ilia Topuria and orthodox for Josh Emmett as well. If we talk about the age, so Ilia is the younger fighter. Josh is nearing the end of his career, and this is a big factor in deciding who will win this fight. The age is an important thing. Ilia is still, about to hit his prime, and Josh, I think, has peaked, and it's only downhill from here for Josh Emmett. This man is pretty old. Now let's talk about some of the other career statistics, and starting with the striking numbers. So strikes landed per minute. This signifies the number of significant strikes that you land on your opponent per minute on average. That is 3.32 for Ilia Topuria and 4.17 for Josh Emmett. So Josh Emmett is the busier striker. He lands more strikes on his opponent per minute, so he will have an advantage in this department. Striking accuracy is 49% for Ilia and 37% for Josh Emmett. So in this case, Ilia will have an advantage. Strikes absorbed per minute. This signifies the number of significant strikes that you absorb from your opponent per minute on average. That is 2.75 for Ilia and 4.43 for Josh. So in this case, the smaller number is actually better because you are absorbing less number of strikes from your opponent. So in this case, advantage again goes to Ilia. Striking defense is 62% for Ilia and 62% for Josh. So both guys are exactly even. In this case, nobody has an advantage. Overall, if you talk about the striking, I think both of these guys have the knockout power. Both of them are good strikers. The Josh Emmett is the more busier striker. He lands more shots. Whereas if you talk about the accuracy and the defense numbers, I think Ilia Topuria is a better defensive striker. Josh Emmett gets hit a lot more than Ilia Topuria. Now let's talk about some of the wrestling, grappling, and submission statistics. So takedown average is 2.45 for Ilia and 1.07 for Josh. So again, an advantage in this department to Ilia. Takedown accuracy is 46% for Ilia and 37% for Josh. So again, the advantage goes to Ilia. Takedown defense is 92% for Ilia Topuria and 58% for Josh Emmett. So again, advantage goes to Ilia in this department as well. Keep in mind that Ilia is a younger fighter and he has not had uh, the number of fights in the UFC that Josh Emmett has had. So this is playing a factor in his takedown defense. Submission average is 2.5 for Ilia and 0.1 for Josh Emmett. So Josh Emmett is really not a grappler. He's not a BJJ guy. Whereas Ilia Topuria is a more well-rounded fighter. He is a striker, but his background is in grappling and BJJ. He is a submission expert in my opinion, and he will have an advantage in the submissions as well. So overall, it's a big advantage. If this fight goes to the ground, it will favor Ilia Topuria. Even though Josh Emmett has good wrestling, I think Ilia has the better BJJ and submission skills. Also, his takedown numbers are much higher. He is more accurate. His takedown defense is 92% compared to 58% for Josh Emmett, and his submission average is way above that of Josh Emmett. If we talk about the record of these two guys, so Ilia Topuria is undefeated, and this is the reason why he will be a favorite in this fight. This man has never lost any professional fight in his career. He has 13 wins and 4 of them have come via knockout, 8 of them have come via submission. So this man is really a submission expert who then became good at striking, and he has power in his strikes as well. So he is able to knock you out as well as choke you out. He has just one win by decision. So really exciting guy. Finishes all of his guys except one. Now let's talk about Josh Emmett. So 21 matches. So he has significantly more experience than Ilia Topuria. 21 fights, 18 wins and 3 losses. If we talk about the 18 wins, 6 of them have come via knockout, 2 of them have come via submission, and 10 of them have come via decision. So this man goes to a decision or knocks you out. He really has very few submissions, whereas Ilia has an advantage in the submission game. He has 8 wins by submission. Now let's talk about the 3 losses. 1 have come via knockout, 1 by submission in his last fight against Yair Rodriguez, and 1 by decision. Overall, I think Ilia Topuria is a well-rounded fighter, and Josh Emmett is a great striker. He has power in his striking as well as he has good wrestling, but his BJJ, his wrestling submission game is lacking, and he's also the older fighter. I think he's 37 now, which is almost the end of his career with the UFC. I think it's gonna be easy. Sorry, not easy, but I will most likely pick Ilia in this fight. Let's move on to the next slide. So here we have some of the previous performances of both these fighters. Starting with Ilia Topuria. In his last fight, he beat the undefeated Bryce Mitchell in the second round via submission arm triangle choke. In this fight, he also knocked down Bryce Mitchell, and Bryce Mitchell was also undefeated. He was a great grappling expert, submission artist, but Ilia made it look easy and knocked him out, then choked him out. So in this fight, I think he really showed his true potential. And before that, he knocked out Jai Herbert. Jai actually hurt him on the feet, but Ilia came back strong and KO'd him in the second round. Before that, he beat the wizard Ryan Hall, who was again a great grappling expert, submission artist, via knockout KO punches in the first round itself. Before that, he beat Damon Jackson via knockout in the first round. And before that was his UFC debut, where he beat Yusuf Zalal via unanimous decision in a 3-round fight. So this man really has knockouts, has submissions, has a unanimous win. This man can do everything. And let's start looking at Josh Emmett's resume now. So in his last fight, he lost to Yair by a triangle choke in the second round. So this was a pretty bad performance from Josh Emmett. I expected him to do better. I was actually picking Josh to win against Yair Rodriguez, but Yair, I think, is a craftier fighter, and it showed in the fight. Also, I was surprised at the lack of submission defense from Josh Emmett. I think he is really green in the submission game, even though he's a good wrestler, but his BJJ skills are lacking, and this showed in his last fight against Yair. So I was kind of disappointed with Josh. I think he's also very old for the division now. He's 37, I think. So that might have something to do with the loss. Let's talk about the fight before that. He beat Calvin Cater via split decision. This was a fight that was for 5 rounds, and a lot of guys were picking Calvin to win this fight, but Josh did good and beat him via split decision. Before that, he beat Dan Ige via unanimous decision in a 3-round fight, and Shane Burgos again unanimous decision in a 3-round fight. These are big names in the division, and if we talk about Ilia, he has only one big name win in his resume. That is Bryce Mitchell. So if we talk about experience, I think this man right here has more experience than Ilia Topuria. So Josh Emmett has fought bigger guys, bigger names in the division like Yair Rodriguez, Calvin Cater, Dan Ige, Shane Burgos. So all these guys are big name, whereas this man just fought one guy. If we talk about the previous fight, he beat Pectic via TKO in the first round and then KO'd Michael Johnson. This fight really showed his power, and he did it in the third round. So this man has the knockout power even in the later rounds. And before that, Jeremy Stephens knocked him out via elbows in the second round. So yeah, he has been knocked out in the UFC before. Before that, he beat Ricardo Lamas via knockout in the first round. So this man has the knockout power to put anybody out and both these guys I think have the knockout power. However, if I have to pick a winner of this fight for this fight, I'm picking Ilia Topuria. I think he is the younger fighter. He is the more well-rounded fighter. He can knock you out as well as choke you out. I believe uh, this man is probably gonna fight for the title sometime in next year, and I'm very excited for this matchup. I like both these guys. I think Josh is nearing the end of his career, so that is the reason why I'm not picking Josh. However, I feel that Josh is also a great fighter. He has great knockouts and his gas tank is also good. But I'll pick Ilya to get it done. I think he'll most likely finish Josh Emmett via knockout in the third round. So I'm picking Ilia Topuria via KO. I think he will really, use his wrestling and grappling to threaten and then go for the knockout. Josh Emmett is a great fighter, but he's not as well rounded as Ilia Topuria. That's why I'm picking Ilia by knockout. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next video.